Punishment and fairness. While playing the ultimatum game, human participants across cultures will regularly reject offers of less than 20% of the proposer's endowment, meaning that neither proposer nor recipient gains any money. That is, players often punish other players for not sharing to a meaningful extent, even if by doing so they receive nothing at all. Whereas the dictator game and the variant just described in the previous section examine proposals to share, the ultimatum game considers the behavior of the recipient and how it might serve to encourage sharing by punishing those who are not generous. Testing animals with such a game may then provide further information about sharing behavior and the factors that encourage it. In 2007, Jensen et al. Created a version of the ultimatum game for chimpanzees, figure 11.6. One animal played the role of the proposer and chose between two ropes. Pulling one rope would provide 8 pieces of food to the proposer and 2 to the second chimpanzee, and another rope would provide, on some trials, 5 food pieces and 5 food pieces, or some other distribution of the total 10 pieces. Importantly, the rope the proposer chimpanzee chose would bring the food closer, but not all the way, to both chimpanzees. The second chimpanzee played the role of the responder and could then complete the pull by pulling on a rod, bringing the food piles within reach. Given this apparatus, the responder could choose not to pull at all, effectively rejecting the proposer's offer. Strikingly different from human players of the ultimatum game, the chimpanzee responders typically pulled their rod for any non-zero offer. That is, they did not reject, even though offers were quite often strongly in favor of the proposer, e.g. 8 versus 2 food pieces. Figure 11.6, Apparatus for Ultimatum Game Experiments in Jensen et al. 2007. 2 chimpanzees could play the game. One took the role of the proposer and chose between 2 ropes that could pull in a shelf containing food, and one played the role of the responder and accepted or rejected the proposer's choice. It may be then that spite or punishment for not sharing equally between self and other is not a common aspect of chimpanzee social life. Another way to probe an animal's sense of fairness, however, might be to not focus on punishment behavior toward those who do not share, but on other behavioral responses such as inequity aversion. To be averse to inequity involves a negative reaction to situations in which there is unequal pay for equal work. Note that this is actually different than simply being averse to inequality, which would simply imply a negative reaction to unequal distributions, regardless of any sense of whether each individual is deserving of their share. In 2003, Brosnan and DeWall examined inequity aversion with tufted capuchin monkeys who had been trained to trade tokens for pieces of food. Each capuchin would readily trade a token for a piece of cucumber. But when some capuchins saw that other group members received a better food reward for a trade, e.g. grapes, the observing capuchins would refuse to trade their token, even for the once desired cucumber. Brosnan and DeWall, 2003, suggested that the results supported the proposal that the capuchin monkeys were demonstrating inequity aversion. The equal work of trading a token was not met with equal pay in terms of quality of food. However, several arguments have been made against this interpretation. For example, the observing capuchin's responses may have been due to general frustration at not being able to obtain a desired food, regardless of the fact that the other capuchin was receiving that food. Even if one does accept an interpretation based on inequity aversion, however, it must be noted that the aversion only seems to occur when receiving the lesser food. Capuchins did not turn down the preferred food when they saw their group mates receive the cucumber. These data, thus, fall short of demonstrating a clear sense of fairness in capuchins, though it has been proposed that perhaps the tendency to reject offers that are comparably disadvantageous to oneself is an initial stage in the evolution of equity aversion. After all, in order to recognize fairness, one must be able to compare the value of commodities in context, e.g., when there is only cucumber available, its value is high, but the value decreases if grapes are present. Taken together, It is clear that there is still much unknown about the frequency and mechanisms underlying sharing behavior in animals. In the wild, there is ample observation of food sharing among relatives in cooperatively breeding species. When the study of sharing is moved into the laboratory and primate species such as chimpanzees and capuchin monkeys are tested, the results are mixed. Direct sharing is not seen in dictator games, punishment for not sharing in a fair manner is not found with regularity, and inequity aversion is, at best, limited to situations of unfairness to oneself. These findings from laboratory studies form a strong contrast with those from a large body of research with humans. Thus, both the ultimate and proximate causes of sharing behavior across species are still the focus of active research. Chapter Summary. Biologists, psychologists, mathematicians, and economists have all examined how it can be that behaviors that lead to decreased survival and reproductive success for the actor, yet increase the survival and reproduction of others, are behaviors that will evolve. Kin selection, as well as reciprocity, can explain the evolution of prosocial behavior. Reciprocity has been extensively modeled by economic games such as the prisoner's dilemma. Different behaviors fit under the heading of prosocial behavior, such as helping, sharing, comforting, and cooperation. Examining these behaviors separately may allow for a more careful consideration of the behaviors and their underlying cognitive mechanisms. Helping behaviors function to assist others with certain instrumental needs. A variety of helping behaviors have been observed across animal species, including aiding conspecifics to have access to mates, defending the nest, alerting others to a threat, and even picking up an object that a human experimenter has dropped. Sharing consists of giving some of one's own material resources to benefit another individual who is in need. In the wild, food sharing is most clearly seen in cooperative breeders. In the laboratory, sharing is often modeled by the dictator game, and performance on this game varies between humans and other animals. Humans appear to more readily share, and we also seem to place a greater value on fairness than other species. Cooperation describes behavior in which two or more individuals work together to achieve a shared goal. A paradigmatic case from observations in the wild is group hunting, though the cognitive processes that underlie this behavior are still being examined. In the laboratory, the behavior of apes and monkeys on cooperative tasks has led to proposals that a certain level of tolerance is necessary to cooperate effectively when rewards must ultimately be divided.